Hi everyone, hello. In here, seeing a lot of people are coming in. So while they're entering to the call, I'm just going to start with some brief introductions. First of all, thank you. This is our sixth AVC subcommittee meeting. As you can see, today's topic is going to be accessibility scope. So while we wait for a couple of minutes to more people to come in, well, as always, a friendly reminder, if this is your first time, we share with you the link of our Notion. First timer. So here you have what kind of information you can find in the Notion about us, why sovereign finance, all the documents here, both English and Spanish as well. The information about our aligned delegates. Currently, we have 2. And also further information about all the meetings we've had already, and also the ones that we are going to come. And yes, actually today, in a few hours, we're going to hold our very first meeting in Spanish here as well on the Discord channel. So to all the Spanish speaker people, come join us in a few hours. 23 hours UTC. It's very special as well because it's going to be the first time we have an official meeting about the scopes and everything that we're doing in our town language, which is Spanish. Okay, Len. Of course, if you already know about us, again, thank you for coming. And if you appreciate our work and share our value, please become an AD of our Sovereign Finance AVC. And here, inside the Notion, you're going to find as well this document, which is our aligned governance strategy document. So everything we're gonna let you in the Notion. Okay. Also, if you are an AMKR holder, you can delegate to our current ADs. We have Clocky and Polk, which are here. I see you there, Clocky. Hi. So thank you for being here. And as you can see, there are already people are delegating to them MKR. So we're pretty excited about it. I think we can already start since I see more people in here. So how is this going to work? Well, first we're going to cover, of course, accessibility scope. We're going to mention these sections: the scope improvement, brand identity, accessibility reward, accessibility communication channels, accessibility campaigns, subDAO front-end standards, easy governance front-end requirements, location filtering, and launch project. Also mentioning that today, after I give this presentation, this talk about this disability scope, we have a special guest today that it's Jason from Tally. So any questions that you may have, of course, regarding front-end data governance, especially, well, this is the moment for you to ask. That is going to be in a few minutes. So first, we're going to cover accessibility scope. As always, remember that the information from here, you can find it. It's available on the Atlas and also the MIP 108, which is the accessibility scope. And let's get started. Okay, we have in the previous meetings, in the previous calls, we have already seen a lot about the scope improvements. So I'm gonna go pass through this very briefly. In this part, in this section of the scope, they talk about the advisory work related to improving this part of the scope, improving the accessibility scope artifact. If you want to become a member for the advisory council, then you need to be approved by governance, and of course, you must fulfill a specific criteria in order for this to happen. Of course, advisory councils are ecosystem actors, which shouldn't have any sort of conflict of interests, and they are managed by accessibility facilitator. Well, when it comes to the funding, well, they have advisory council paid on a project basis, and accessibility facilitators, of course, have a budget for advisory council projects. And well, when it comes to the accessibility scope, DAO toolkit integration, in this section and this part, it means that they're going to build this special toolkit that shows all the relevant information and processes that are related to making things more accessible. So they want this toolkit to be the most user-friendly, so more people can understand and actually use it. So overview must be built to give a full and accessible overview of all data and process relevant of the accessibility scope. Okay. Let's move on to the second section, that it's brand identity. Okay, so in this part, the scope mentions about all the rules that describe how Maker wants to be seen and known. So these rules also explain how to make the brand, improve to be better over time. So Maker wants to have a brand that connect with people, that people can trust and rely on for a long time. So they're looking at this as a long term. So we have here the new brand. Accessibility facilitators are tasked with engaging with third-party brand professionals to create a new brand for the Maker ecosystem. Yes, so accessible facilitators will work with certain people with expertise, with professionals, and they're going to create a brand that looks the same everywhere, and this is going to focus on the stablecoin. That's what here must be a complete overhaul that creates a unified brand identity. Must focus on the stablecoin product, then rebrand as an opportunity. To level set a degree of decentralization possible in scalable stablecoin to avoid confusion with fully decentralized and scalable stablecoins. So when they make the new brand, also they will have a new website, as it says here, and they want to explain this new brand to people who already know about Maker. And if everyone agrees with the new brand, then the website will belong to a specific, a special organization. This new brand will start at the same time as they introduce the new tokens. We're talking about new stable and new Gov token. Something to keep in mind for sure that these are the current names. So how we know these tokens as, but it doesn't mean that these are gonna be their names, because they are gonna be renamed according to the new brand. So that's something that you should keep in mind. So when everything is ready, accessibility facilitators, they are going to show everyone the new brand and ask for their opinion, ask to vote. And if everyone agrees, well, they will make sure all these, they're going to use these terms for the new brand. For example, in the atlas and on the artifacts, of course, they're gonna make sure that all the words they use match with the new brand. So yes, again, I'm pointing out that Maker tokens, DAI, and MKR will still be valid and still be available, but just they won't have this big focus on branding anymore. Okay, in the next part we have number 3, rewards. Okay, so this is like a special payment that, as it says here, as subDAOs and ecosystem actors can get if they follow specific rules for the Maker brand, and either have or give access to new stable. It doesn't matter if new stable is earning interest or if there are other tokens involved. So that's why payment that subDAOs and ecosystem actors can receive if they comply with the brand guidelines and either hold new stable directly or provide users access to new stable or smart contracts that hold new stable. There are no distinctions between new stable. There is or isn't earning the DSR or subDAO tokens. Well, then we have this signal process. Ecosystem actors that hold new stable or provide access to new stable can sign up for the accessibility reward by posting a message on the Maker core forum, specifying the Ethereum address and the means to independently and ambiguously track the amount of new stable they hold or provide access to in real time. So basically, to sign up for the accessibility reward, ecosystem actors who have or provide access to a new stable, basically they need to post a message on the forum and share their Ethereum address where they want to receive the payment. Of course, they also need to show how they can track the amount of new stable they have or provide access to in real time. Or however, if they don't follow the brand rules, they will be removed from the reward program. And of course, in order for this to happen, there are reward parameters, as you can see in here. So the amount of reward depends on how much new stable an ecosystem actor or subDAO has or provide access to. And they earn a percentage every year based on that amount. That's why we have the percentages in here. And something else to mention here is that in the beginning, the rewards are tripled until a certain amount of new stable has been paid out. Of course, this is further in the MIP 108. Okay, now the accessibility communication channels. Maker must maintain various communication channels to help with access and interaction of the Maker ecosystem. These communication channels are distinct from the governance-focused communication channels. So in this part of the scope, what it mentioned is that Maker needs to, of course, have different ways to communicate and to help people access and, of course, be involved, participate in the Maker ecosystem, something like we're doing right now. These communication channels are different or are separate from the ones focused on making decisions. So they mentioned the accessibility chat. So let's read it. Chat platform that allows Maker and subDAO community members to chat and interact, teaching newcomers about the system or discussing various technical details. It must be maintained as an external-facing platform with tight moderation that preserves it as a friendly and safe space. Basically, the accessibility chat is where people can talk and learn about Maker system. Of course, this platform, this chat, should be friendly and safe for new members, new people, newcomers, also for regular users and everyone that is involved in the Maker ecosystem. They also mentioned that governance debates, negative behavior, of course, are not allowed there. However, discussions about how things work, how to get started, of course, these kind of discussions are encouraged. Of course, the participation and interaction, all that's good. Then we have the accessibility on external platforms. MakerDAO must support the accessibility of the Maker ecosystem by paying ecosystem actors to maintain accounts and channels on external platforms such as Twitter and Telegram. MakerDAO also wants to be present in these big platforms or external platforms like Twitter, Telegram, and in order for that to happen, they pay people to maintain accounts and channels on these platforms. Of course, where they can share information that helps people understand and use the Maker system following the brand guidelines. And in order to support all of these, of course, there is a budget that is set aside. This budget is used to cover the cost, of course, of maintaining the communication channels, but also to make sure that everything is running smoothly. They also mentioned that the budget can be changed through a voting process. So people can decide if they want to increase or decrease the amount of money allocated in this channel. Although there is a budget, currently it's, on the MIB there isn't. So it just mentions like 0 DAI. So that needs to be updated. But of course, this is gonna be managed using these vests that we have also talked about it last call. Okay, then we are in the accessibility campaign. Although, as you can see, there isn't further information about this. At first, let me read it and explain it. Well, the accessibility facilitators must research and develop a framework for long-term accessibility campaigns. Unfortunately, this part, it's neither in the Atlas or on the MIP 108. This component is not elaborated and there are not further details. So yeah, we're going to be expecting facilitators, system actors to kind of give more details and rules about this section. And something similar as well with the following section, that it's subDAO front-end standards, because as well, neither on the Atlas or on the MIP 108 it's just too little information regarding this. So the accessibility facilitators must specify subDAO front-end standards for security, user experience, and required features. subDAO frontends must always be available in fully decentralized, downloadable formats that can be run by users without reliance on a central intermediary. Well, with this information, what we understand is that it's gonna be like a plan for how to make sure that these front ends are built in the best way possible. So of course, in order for this to happen as well, there are going to be like certain rules and guidelines that can mention how to make them safe, user friendly, or easy to use, and to have all the important things they need. So basically, what like the goal that we believe that this has is to they want people to have a good experience, a good user experience when they're using this. Okay, and then we have the easy governance front-end requirements. Actually, there isn't info about it on the MIP. Fortunately, there was the more details in the atlas. So on the MIP, they only mention this: the accessibility facilitators must specify and enforce strict requirements for the easy governance frontends that subDAOs operate to ensure they remain universally aligned with the atlas. But on the atlas, they are adding more details or a little bit more information. So EGF, that of course stands for Easy Governance Fronted, basically it's like a special application that most users will use to access. Do you remember the SLE that we talked about last meeting, the Sagittarius Logset engine? Okay, they can access this, and also its governance participation reward. So it's really relevant. It's really important for the way Maker governance works, and not only that, but also how it needs to be protected. So this EGF, this easy governance frontend, it's designed to prevent people from trying to manipulate it or to gain an advantage in Maker governance. We find that pretty relevant, actually. They also mention in this part the design of EGF. So it basically they what it's stating here, it's that it's going to be, or it needs to be simple, and they even like fun to use, so that more people can get involved and contribute their ideas. It's important to include as many voters as possible who receive incentive for voting. So they want to make it, again, they want to make it user friendly, so of course as many voters or as many people can be involved, even if they don't have a lot of knowledge or alignment with system. And they mention as well that the easy governance frontend makes it easier for MKR holders to be active or to participate in governance decisions. And also the last thing that it's we find it that it's relevant, it's because of the design of of these can have a big impact on maker governance. Of course, it needs to be very secured. It needs to be well defined in order to avoid or to have no one can manipulate it or change it in a way that would give them a negative or an unfair advantage. Okay, then we have the location filtering. Well, all front ends operated by ecosystem actors on behalf of subDAOs, and all front ends operated by ecosystem actors that receive accessibility rewards are required to follow location filtering rules or be penalized and or lose access to the accessibility rewards. So basically in this part, what it is saying is that if ecosystem actors operate front ends for subDAOs or receive accessibility rewards, of course they need to follow these location filtering rules. And I mean, however, if they don't comply, they might be penalized or lose their accessibility rewards. Then it's the limited filtering requires front ends operated by ecosystem actors to avoid displaying or describing features to users with IPS flagged for limited filtering, features that must be restricted, subDAO farming, DAI savings rate, governance participation rewards, and many other features related to yield or rewards. User IPS flagged for limited filtering USA and VPN users. And then we have the full block requires frontends to deny service of any kind of to users with IP flagged for full block. And then they list all of the countries that users IP flagged are going to be full block, which are these countries: Cuba, Iran, Syria, and so on. Gonna give you like a minute for you to check all the countries. And the last part of this section, it's the launch project. Okay, so in this section they talk about this, let's say, temporary initiative that it's led by, of course, accessibility facilitators, and it aims to support the early stages, the early launch phases, and they're gonna last for 1.5 years until the end of 2024. So let's read them. So, launch project must coordinate the development of the new brand with website marketing and communication strategy, and effectively integrate the smart contract development of the ecosystem into the launch. Develop key AI governance technology and secure partnerships with high-value companies from relevant fields that can help rapidly anchor the ability of MakerDAO to use AI and governance technology. And it also can, they must work to attract high-value advisory council members that are less traditional, prone to interact with the world of crypto. Okay. Yeah, so basically it coordinates the development of the new brand, website, marketing, And yes, they integrate the smart contract development into the launch process. And in the last part, also the launch project wants to like attract advisory council members, but from non-traditional background in the crypto world. I find that interesting. Okay. Something else to mention in here, it's of course the launch project is an exception to the usual transparency requirements for governance processes. Not only that, but also facilitator decisions and budget spending. However, this exception is necessary to optimize the impact of the launch of the launch of the new brand. So in this part, what it's one of the more relevant things that aims to, or one of the goals is to onboard key non-crypto partners smoothly but shield them from unfamiliar issues related to DAO governance and politics, all of these during early phases. Okay, so one-time exception to the requirements about maximum end-to-end transparency for all governance processes, facilitator decisions, and all budget spending defined by the alignment artifacts. Motivation, the new brand can have an outsized impact on the long-term potential of the overall ecosystem that launch project must optimize for the best possible first impression. The current budget is this amount, and this is remaining available one-time budget for the launch project. Oh, so that was regarding the accessibility scope. Okay, so now something to mention, we're going to share as well the aligned governance strategy. And I mean, we're currently working in these both documents that we have to present we're going to present in a couple of days, although we are going to share in order for you to give us insights or like feedback on it. So one of them, it's this one, strategy, which I already mentioned it. So I'm just gonna on the chat. And of course, also we have been consulting and asking to our delegates about insights of this. So thank you so much for all the insights and feedback that you have given us. And again, in the upcoming days, we are gonna be publishing this because we're currently working on it in order to have them ready to post it. And also to mention that today which is of course the last scope, accessibility scope, in the upcoming call, it means next week, next Thursday, we're going to start a new quarter because Q3 is starting, and then again we're gonna go with this schedule. So it's gonna start with governance, and the following week, or it's gonna be support scope and like that. So in order for you to notice that. Something else is that, as you can see, this presentation, we haven't added our proposals, although you could still read them and comment on them, because what we want is actually to have the most insights on the work we are doing. So we're going to provide as well a link in order for you to not only read them but also tell us what you think about it. So that is when it comes to our proposals that we have already show you in the previous calls. Okay, so I am going to introduce now to our guest. So first, let me know if it's here.
Hello, I'm here.
You are. I was just checking in. Hi, Faison. So first of all, as I was saying in the previous at the beginning of the call, so today we have a special guest. We have Faison with us, Faison from Tally. So he's gonna start talking to us a little bit about his experience, and we're going to try to focus all the questions and all the information related to front end and governance as much as we can. So we're going to start right away. I think I'm going to stop presenting, and then I want to start presenting again, so don't worry. And so first of all, thank you for your time, Faison, and of course, for the first question will be to have you introduce yourself, so everybody can know about your background, and if you could please tell us about your experience in creating Tally and how it came to be. That would be like the first question.
Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. Sorry I didn't join at the beginning of the call. I was being a noob and failing to get access to this group within the MakerDAO Discord. So thank you for your patience. So honored to be here. Big fan of MakerDAO. I'm Christian. I'm sort of like the head of not being an engineer at Tally. So I do a lot of work, community work, marketing, partnerships. I help with customer experience, things like that, and spend a lot of time just in DAO governance, contributing to DAOs. I'm a delegate, working with DAOs. So yeah, super excited to be here. Tally is kind of normally I would say Tally is an OG in the on-chain governance space, but it's hard to say in the context of Maker because Maker came even before Tally. Really Maker is the OG in on-chain governance. Tally came along a little bit after Maker, and we noticed after observing Maker and then the launch of Compound's on-chain governance, that this idea of on-chain protocol governance was really becoming a pattern, and we thought it was something that would grow quickly within the ecosystem as more and more value was being brought on-chain and the DeFi and on-chain ecosystem expanded. So we launched in 2020 with the idea that even though MakerDAO built their own amazing on-chain governance and Compound built their own amazing on-chain governance, eventually a lot of teams, they might not want to have on-chain governance be like a core focus of their protocol team for a couple of reasons. One, maybe it's not their core product, right? So maybe it's very important to focus developer resources on things like building out lending markets or DeFi integrations, and less on governance. But also, we thought it would be valuable to we kind of envisioned as the ecosystem matures for delegates to be involved in multiple DAOs, and so for there to be really like a UX benefit to having a service that provides this governance front end for multiple DAOs so that delegates and contributors could go to one place, among many, right? Just have an option to go to one place to participate in governance across multiple protocol DAOs. And so that's the vision for Tally. It's a front end for on-chain governance. And if you go today to our website, which is tally.xyz, tally.xyz. We support the vast majority of on-chain DAOs in Ethereum. Our thesis that there would be more protocols that were governed by on-chain governance was true. We saw an explosion of DeFi with Aave and Uniswap and many others, and we also saw an explosion of Web3 protocols like ENS and Gitcoin, and now rollups like Arbitrum and Optimism. And the most successful protocols in those ecosystems, they want to be credibly neutral, and they choose to manage their protocol in the treasury with on-chain governance. And so Tally has been able to be very a useful service provider to those DAOs. So that's the story of Tally and where we are today and what I do.
Thank you so much. Actually, yes. At least for our my couple of friends and people I know, yes, who does not use Tally. So yeah, but it was also good to know that a little bit more about it. So the following question would be, what aspects of UX and DeFi are you currently focusing on, of course, particularly or especially in the context of governance? Of course, you tell me a little bit about it. That you focus, of course, on-chain governance especially, and that your front end hosts data about and enables on-chain proposal creation and voting. But if you could also provide us a little bit more information about it. Just in case you're muted, and I see that you're also sharing your website. Yes, everyone should check it out. I repeat the question. So what aspects
no. Sorry, I didn't realize I had muted. I did hear the question.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It happens.
Thanks. Or at least I think I understood it. So you were telling you a little bit more about how Tally works specifically?
Yeah, so you already have mentioned it that of course focused on-chain governance, and I remember you that I was texting you. You mentioned that and then holds data about and enables on-chain proposal creation and voting. So to go further to that, like when designing a front end for DeFi, like what are the important factors or considerations to keep in mind?
Yeah, absolutely. So our goal is to make protocol governance, DeFi protocol governance, for example, we want to democratize it, right? And so one of the benefits of operating a protocol like MakerDAO with on-chain governance is that it's transparent to everyone in the ecosystem what is happening with governance. So if there's going to be a change to the protocol or a new budget funded or an upgrade or deployed to a new L2 or a new product launch, it goes through on-chain governance, and then all the stakeholders like the LPs and the token holders and the delegates can all review the change and either vote for it or veto it. And so we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to do that. And on-chain governance is quite technical under the hood, right? And so our focus is trying to sort of like abstract away the technicality or like the what's happening under the hood on chain, and just make it like a no-code experience to actually interact. So if you want to create a proposal to upgrade some part of the DAO on Tally, or you want to create a proposal to send tokens from the treasury to a working group multi-sig, anyone can do this. It's like very easy. You can just like point and click, sort of. We have like a no-code proposal builder. And then also anyone can delegate their vote or easily review the contents of the proposal, vote on it, follow along with the status of the proposal, and also anyone can execute the proposal once it passes, just like by clicking a button on Tally. So that's really important, because if there's a technical barrier to interacting with governance, it's less democratic and less credibly neutral, less capture resistant if it requires a high technical barrier to entry to participate. So that's like really, our main focus at Tally is making it very accessible for anyone to participate in protocol governance.
I think those are the keys, right? Like the most user-friendly, the most accessible to most people in order for them to use it easily. So that's what also they want to do in with this front end in Maker. So glad that we're having you here so you can tell us more about it. So the next question is, in decentralized front-end systems, how are processes typically handled that would normally need backend support?
Yeah. So is the question like if you wanted to like create a proposal on Tally, like how do we approach making it easy to do without dev support, or am I understanding the question correctly?
Yes, I mean that would be awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So we do like enable that or make it possible. Basically, we if the contract, so if the governance contract, like the smart contract that contains the DAO on chain, that contains the governance, if it is verified on Etherscan, which like most are, we can extract like the functionality or the methods and the calls on the smart contract and build that like into our UI so that it's very easy to interact with without actually like having to write Solidity yourself or even have a deep understanding of like how the contract works under the hood. So maybe a good example of this would be like in Uniswap, right? The most common DAO proposals are to send funds from the treasury, send uni from the treasury, and to adjust fee tiers. The DAO controls the fee tiers that are available on Uniswap, and they have many deployments on different chains, and DAO controls the fee tiers on all of the chains. And so with the way their like DAO, the on-chain DAO is structured, we have like indexed those functions. And so you can just click, like when you're creating a proposal, you can just click a button that's like transfer uni from treasury. And like we will like, create that transaction for you if you create that proposal on Tally. And then similarly, you can choose like the function for updating fee tiers and choose from a list of options of what the fee tiers you want to change are. And we'll create that transaction. You create the proposal because it's on chain, but we basically compose the proposal for you, and then you review it in your, MetaMask or your wallet. And then if you send the transaction, you create the proposal. Or like Tally kind of like effectively like writes the code for you under the hood, right? Based on the selections that you choose in the UI.
Okay, I see. I have another question. I also write it on the chat also for you to be able to read it. So in a scenario where you need to store a significant amount of data, like the data like the data from Maker Forum, what would be your approach in a decentralized front-end context?
Yeah, this is a good question. And actually, like Tally today is a good example. So we don't store forum data today, but we do index governance So like for an on-chain DAO, we have a service that indexes the state of governance. So like who has what tokens delegated to them, how many the proposals that exist, whether they passed or not, et cetera. And this is actually quite computationally intensive to index it and also to update it, right? So like anytime there's a change in voting power, like someone switches their delegation, we have to index this and display it on Tally. And this is actually like, it really requires, it requires like cloud services basically to do this in a performant way. So Tally's API is like, built on top of cloud service providers, like centralized cloud service providers like Google Cloud Platform and Amazon Web Services. And that's just because like there's no other way to create this like accessible and performant on-chain governance app without this. But we also recognize that this is like a weakness, right? So the reason people use and deploy protocols like MakerDAO is because they want to have them be credibly neutral and composable and censorship resistant. And so our front end is like not as like as decentralized basically as the protocol, right? Even though you're using Tally to govern the protocol, so it's not sort of ideal. So we sort of like are actively working on ways to like make sure that Tally is not like a blocker, right, for decentralization. So there's a few ways that happens. Number one is that Tally, we do not control the underlying contracts. So our front end supports a pattern called governor, which is Compound invented, and then it was later standardized by OpenZeppelin. And so governor is like modular, so anyone can build a front end. And in fact, many have. So using Uniswap as an example again, there are multiple implementations of like a governance front end for Uniswap other than Tally, including Uniswap Labs. They have a front end, like a governance front end. There's also Boardroom, and like anyone can sort of spin one up. So that's like one level of decentralization, right? Is like Tally is like our front end is modular, so like anyone can sort of like interact with the contracts without going through Tally if they want to. Another layer is we sort of want to make sure that like maybe there are smaller DAOs where like there's not an option besides Tally, or that's easy to access, or possibly like all of the front ends that support Uniswap go down. And this is actually possible because it could be like an AWS outage, which actually happened like 2 weeks ago. AWS had an outage and like all of the front ends went down. Which is like not great, right? All of the governance front ends went down. So we have a GitHub page out and a sort of working MVP for a product called Tally Zero, which is basically like it's also a governance front end for voting, but it is not fancy. Like it's very basic, but anyone can go there and choose a proposal and vote on it. And it is hosted on IPFS, and there's like zero dependency. Like it doesn't depend on web services, centralized web services. And so we have that option that we always want to have available just in case like there's a major issue like AWS going down. And so that's another option that we have in place. And then the third thing I would say is that we think like open source is very important. Tally itself, like Tally, the main Tally Zero is open source, but the main like Tally product, like Tally.xyz front end, is not yet open source. But we are actively moving in that direction, so that anyone can understand how it's working and like deploy the front end. If there's for some reason like we're a blocker for usage. So that part is still like in development, but is part of our our plan going forward. So those are some thoughts I have about like we would take a similar approach to the forum data. In the case of Tally, like it's currently applicable for like indexing on-chain governance.
We have a comment in here from Paper and Peer. It says, not sure how Tally could be more centralized than the the very good Maker voting portal. Multiple governance front ends, even if centralized, is the best decentralization. Would you like to comment on this?
Yeah, exactly. That's like the first part that I mentioned, where the first part of our decentralization strategy is that to build on top of a modular ecosystem like Governor, where there are multiple front ends available, and it's easy to spin one up.
Well, thank you so much. I don't know if there's any other questions. If there is, please write on the chat so Friesen could reply to us. And if not, this has been pretty we have learned a lot, and thank you so much for your time. I don't know if there's any word you would like to add or to say before we finish our call.
Thank you for inviting me. Also, it's good to see you, Paper. Hi. Yeah, appreciate everyone's time. If you ever want to talk about governance or Tally or DeFi or anything, I'm available always. Open DMs on Twitter. Yeah, I'll put my handle in here. I am 0. I'm a boomer who's bad at using Discord, but also I'm at 0xfriction on Twitter. So just hit me up. Thank you, everyone. Great to see you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Friesen. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And that will be the end of our call. Remember that our calls are every Thursday at the same time. So hope to see you next week. Bye, everyone. Thank you all.
Cheers.